Hey guys, what's going on? This is Blue, here with another solo queue video. I haven't done one of these in a while, but I figured I'd toss one out, as I'm not really able to do too many streams this week, got finals and all that coming up, so I figured, hey, let's just toss one of these out. As usual, just a couple notes before we get started with the actual video itself. Game's gonna start in about 30 seconds here. Once again, as you can probably tell already, the video on the webcam on the screen itself is definitely not in sync with my own voice. We pulled this once again directly from the live stream, so just ignore that. Hopefully it doesn't bother you too much, as that's going to look a little bit better than having a dirty image overcut over it, and yeah, we'll just leave it as is, basically. That and I'm lazy. Anyway, though, as you can see, I am playing Connie Necro. I am playing a slightly different version of the build that you see Nos playing in a lot of high-tier tournaments. It is the Fearmancer build, with the only difference being in the fact that I have chosen to take Signet of Spite over the Worm just because it is solo queue. Another one, really quickly, is the fact that this is technically a pre-made group I'm rolling with here at the moment. We're doing the unranked queue, which was just recently implemented. However, we're not on comms or anything, so it is still, for all intents and purposes, just a toss together. Anyway, as usual, we're going to be focusing on kind of rotational mentality, talking about where I'm going, why I'm going there, and just, you know, just trying to help you guys out by giving you a couple pointers and giving a bit of rationale as to why I do things. Anyway, the game has already begun here. As you can see, this is a pretty usual thing I do here at the start of pretty much every single temple game when I'm playing on a DPS focus class. I'm going to head up towards the top. The reason I do this is that's generally speaking a safe spot, and you can also see there too there was a bit of delay before I actually engaged. That again being because I usually like to watch out for thieves or really any other burst class that likes to jump on me up on the top there, and that does give me a bit of time to, hopefully, if they don't see me, they'll dive on the mid, and then I should be free to engage. Thankfully, no one else did arrive, so it was pretty easy for me. I was able to go on there. They get a couple little hits off here, and you can see this now too. I'm going to be stacking Death Shroud, because remember, you can't actually stack it before the game now, since the recent patch changed that. You can't swap your utilities any more than 10-second countdown, so I'm just going to take this opportunity here to stack with the auto attack. Now, because I did choose to do this, this does mean I'm essentially going to be abandoned at the point. Bit unfortunate, as that warrior that was kind of open, he would stay and I'd be free to rotate to other points, but again, he saw that I was auto-attacking, so can't really fault him for leaving me alone on that node and leaving me to defend it. And again, I'm not going to really move away from this point too much right now, just because I'm kind of looking at both fights. I really don't see one going either way, and I know there's probably at least 1 to 2, possibly more respawns on the way, so I don't want to leave a node, assist a losing fight, and end up losing the mid node there too. It's better safe than sorry. So instead I just decided to go up here, watch the respawns, and you can see there too that I'm going to be marking that on the minimap for my teammates. Not many people are going to be noticing things like that, but to those that do, they will certainly appreciate you marking inks for them on the minimap. That's a thing that really only myself and a few other people have tended to do in the past, and I think it does really help out with communication, the somewhat limited amount, at least, of communication that you do have available to yourself in games. Now, I do come to assist this fight, but big mistake here that I do end up making. The Necro that I spotted just a few moments ago ends up outmaneuvering me there, and I don't catch onto it. I think I got it confused with the standard model or something like that, and he does manage to get onto the node here, decap. The reason I came to that fight there originally, I saw that my thief friend over there was having a little bit trouble staying alive, so I didn't really want to come over there to try and push him back onto the point, but more just to hopefully keep him alive and in the fight, so that, as you're going to see here in just a second, he can actually come in and save my butt, as I was more than sure that those players that were trying to take him out just a few seconds ago were going to come into mid there too and take him down. So it was pretty crucial for me to try and save his life, as even though I am a fairly bulky individual on this Necromancer build, I'm still going to get ganked out pretty easily when it's a 1v2 or higher than that on myself. So again, once we've gotten back to mid, once we've gotten back pretty good control of the point, I'm just going to be, 1v1ing and stuff like that. Now, I do run into a little bit of trouble here with this NG, but thankfully, once again, due to this being a slightly buffed pug, with it being with people I know in the group, granted, once again, we're not on comms, but still, they managed to catch that on the mini-map there, and they're just going to come back to support me with that 2v1. They know I would be having a little bit of trouble versus that engineer, at least on an on-point fight, just because they have a lot of CC, and it does make it a bit hard. You should still beat those NGs in the long run. It's just because of the fact that if you want to stay aggressive on the point, they are going to have the upper hand slightly, just because of the fact that they have a lot of on-point CC. So we'll take that. And once again, I'm just going to push forward here with the rest of these guys. We thought, at least, that it was fairly safe, but once again, this was just me being slightly greedier than I should have been, and because of that, I end up losing that mid-cap here once more. Now, again, losing a cap isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world, so long as you're able to get some benefit from it. Like, you can see here at the moment, despite the fact we lost the midpoint, we managed to get 2 kills, 10 points. It's easily going to act as enough of a buffer for us to still maintain the lead, despite losing our only cap point. I do have to go away from this second kill, but I do think we get it a couple seconds later here anyway. And another reason, too, I think why I ended up going off of middle is because you take a look at the timer, and, well, we were pretty close to that 11:30 buff, so I wanted to try and be up top there so that we can hold a pretty decent control. I'm going to try my my best to support this fight, but as you're going to see right there, things don't end up working out too well as I do get stealth pulled. Not much I can do about that. Ending up getting thrown down into the bottom, which is probably going to place me pretty much exactly where I was just a few minutes ago, right on mid. And we are going to have, I think, a little bit of a lull here in things actually happening. So again, just wanted to throw out there too is that and in this game, isn't really going to be very close. I know some people are looking for closer games and whatnot, but there's still quite a few things in this game that show off rotational skill and whatnot. So I know you guys are looking for those close games. Haven't been having many of them recently, but I thought this game was a pretty good one. I do quite a few nice things that I just wanted to show off to some of you newer guys that don't really know how to rotate so much or just are looking for a way to get started strategically speaking. So I can hopefully provide some insight onto that. So again, I'm going to head up here to top to watch the spawns. I'm watching the midpoint a lot better this time around as I do catch on to the engineer. There was an incoming, possibly a second incoming enemy there. Thankfully, he did not show up, as that would have been a lot of trouble had I had to deal with both of those guys. Just the engineer ended up coming, so that's going to be a pretty easy fight once again, especially with the assistance of my warrior friend there. He'll just leave that one. Pretty much, he'll just leave that one as is, and the warrior friend will chase him, but, you know, I'm not worried about it too much. We've got about a 60-point lead going right now. We have both caps. Not really looking like there's too much pressure on either of them. There's a little bit of trouble back on our home node over there on the altar, as you can see on the mini-map, but in the long scope of things, I'm not super duper worried about it. So I'm going to hang out up here in the top, and now that you can see we're approaching about a 100-point lead, this is what I like to call the cushiony position, at the point where you can afford to play greedy, and even if you do, you know, have some sloppy rotations going on because of that, like you get decapped in middle, or one of your nodes gets decapped in general there, you can generally speaking deal with it, especially in a solo queue environment where comms are, you know, limited at best there. You can generally speaking make easy comebacks just because of the fact that your opponents really aren't going to have the best communication between each other. That doesn't apply so much anymore because there is the possibility for people to actually go up against you with comms, but yeah, for unranked at least it still applies pretty nicely. So as I said earlier, more than likely I was kind of expecting us to get decapped at mid, so that does end up happening here. Now, you are going to note that instead of going directly to the midpoint, I'm going to take my time here and go for the Death Shroud stacking over on that Thief. I noticed sometimes people in solo queue will try to res, and I didn't really want to take the risk on us losing our other and only point, as I wasn't really paying too much attention and wasn't aware of the fact that we were just about to get the Temple node there too, so I just wanted to play it safe. Not only that, but I was able to enter this fight with full Death Shroud, which, considering there is 3 to 4 players from the opponent team, wasn't necessarily the worst thing in the world to go into the fight with. And keep in mind too, just as a little bit of a pro tip you can notice that when I entered the fight, is the fact that when you're on a light armor class, or just when you're on a squishy class in general, you do not want to be diving directly onto the middle point unless you know it's safe to do it. Like, at this point, you can see I'm doing it, but we've already scored 1 to 2, and I think in a second here, it's going to be the second or third kill that we're going to be getting on these guys. And at that point, I've known that I was safe. But you can see right at the beginning there, I was kind of either hanging out in the back or skirting around the edges of that point just to try and lock down opponents there and take them out. Had I have just dived directly on point, even though I am fairly bulky, and even though I can take quite a bit of deeps if I'm using my cooldowns properly, I'm still going to die rather fast, and once those cooldowns are gone, I'm a fairly easy target to pick off. So it's better safe than sorry when it comes to fighting against high numbers, even if you do have the high numbers on your side to even the fight out there. So while I was just talking there, obviously most of you probably noticed that at the 830 buff spawn, we managed to get not only the bottom buff, but the top buff, which, as you're going to see, is pretty much endgame at this point. It's basically GG. We have almost a 300-point lead, so it's going to be extremely hard for those guys to come back. So once again, we're just really doing whatever we need to at this point. There isn't much we can do to actually screw up the game once you're at this point, but it is possible, so don't turn every single sense off just yet, as you do still need to wrap it up. But however, at this point we were pretty safe, so rotations are going to get sloppier and sloppier from this point forward as we're just trying to end the game. So again, I'm just going to fall back there, and you notice too, keeping a good eye on what's happening with my opponents. They did try to leave that middle fight there, and this engineer who ended up sneaking away from the engagement, I wasn't able to keep up with him enough in time in order to get the full decap going on there. However, as you saw there too, I was able to get there in time to assist my other teammate, and at the end of the day, win this team fight right there. So we're going to cap this one. We control the other 2 nodes, and really at this point, it's like I said, it's basically GG. Yeah, so the second I cap this node and I'm able to turtle it, which I should have no trouble doing for 30 seconds, the game's all over. So with that in mind, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. I do apologize once more if I am talking a little bit fast. My video editing skills are not the best, so I can't really do any pauses and, fancy cuts and things like that. So I just tried to get it all done in one cut, which I think we have done fairly well here. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, I do recommend that you subscribe to the channel for more SPP content, a lot of tournament VODs, as well as guides and things such as this get uploaded here on a pretty regular basis, hopefully a little bit more specifically over the next month, as I'll be going on my winter vacation soon from college, so I should have a lot more time to do more of these guys. But other than that, you can go ahead and check me out on Twitch as well, over at twitch.tv/BLU42, and you can also follow me on Twitter at dr_BLU. Thanks once again, guys, for watching the video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one, folks. See you next time.